The last broadcast, the assassination of Jean Dominique. The early morning sun filtered through the dense clouds over Port-au-Prince on April 3, 2000, as the streets of Haiti's capital slowly began to come to life. In the bustling heart of the city, a radio station that had long been a beacon of truth was about to witness an event that would send shockwaves through the nation. Jean Dominique, a 69-year-old journalist renowned for his fearless investigations and commitment to uncovering corruption, stepped out of his car outside the Radio Haiti-Inter offices. It was a typical day, or so he thought. Jean was used to the dangers that came with speaking out against those in power, the political elite, and the criminals who ran the nation's affairs. His work had made him a target, but his voice was too important to silence. He had spent decades shining a light on the darkness in Haitian politics, and the people who trusted him had come to rely on his unwavering dedication to the truth. Alongside him, his colleague Jean-Claude Louissaint, a quiet yet steadfast member of the Radio Haiti-Inter family, walked toward the entrance. They exchanged a few words, perhaps a last moment of camaraderie before their day began. But in a split second, their world would change forever. Gunshots rang out. Two masked men emerged from the shadows, firing with deadly precision as Dominique and Louissaint were struck down in cold blood. Dominique collapsed to the ground, his lifeblood seeping into the dirt. Louissaint fell beside him, his own life extinguished in a senseless act of violence. The two men lay in the street, victims of an attack orchestrated by forces that feared the truth Jean Dominique had been broadcasting for years. Inside the station, chaos erupted. The remaining staff scrambled to comprehend what had just happened. The country's most prominent journalist, the man who had exposed the corruption of the ruling elite, was dead. And with him, a piece of Haiti's soul had been torn away. As news of the assassination spread, the reaction from the Haitian people was swift and profound. Protests erupted in the streets, with Haitians demanding justice for the murder of one of their most courageous voices. But the very same powers that had allowed Dominique's murder to take place seemed intent on burying the truth. Political pressure weighed heavily on the investigation, and in the months that followed, it became clear that the wheels of justice would not turn easily. Allegations of a cover-up ran rampant. Many believed that the people responsible for Dominique's death were well placed within the government and the criminal underworld, those who feared the journalist's relentless pursuit of truth. His stories had exposed their secrets, and they were not going to let him continue. Investigations into the murder faltered at every turn. Key suspects, those with direct links to the political elites, were mysteriously killed under suspicious circumstances. Two men who were allegedly involved in the assassination were found dead, their deaths raising more questions than answers. Three others who had been indicted for the murders managed to escape from prison before they could stand trial. The sense of impunity was overwhelming. It seemed that Haiti's political system had conspired to protect those who had murdered Jean Dominique and his colleague. Yet, despite the cover-ups and the silence that enveloped his death, Jean Dominique's legacy lived on. His voice echoed through the airwaves even after his death, inspiring a new generation of journalists to continue the work he had started. Radio Haiti-Inter, though shaken by the loss of its founder, remained a symbol of defiance against corruption. But in the streets of Port-au-Prince, Jean Dominique's murder was a painful reminder of the cost of speaking the truth in a country where power and corruption often went hand in hand. The injustice of his death would haunt Haiti for years to come, as the nation grappled with its own fragile state of democracy. Despite the silence of the authorities, the Haitian people would not forget Jean Dominique. His name became synonymous with courage, resistance, and the unyielding pursuit of truth. In the end, Jean Dominique's death was not the end of his story. It was only the beginning of a long fight for justice that would endure long after the sound of the gunshots had faded.